Hi everybody, it's Courtney again. I am back with another video. I have felt so inspired to talk about what I have been journeying through the last few days. I went down the rabbit hole of True Sidereal Astrology. Oh my God, have you even heard of it? Have you heard of sidereal? Now, if you live in the United States, if you live in the West, tropical Western astrology is what is used. That's how we know the 12 zodiacs, or the 12 signs of the zodiac, Aries through Pisces. So it was something that I was always curious about. I knew my own sun sign. I learned about my, they call it the big three. I knew my sun, my moon, and my rising sign. I started to take a few classes like just a couple years ago, and I have just fallen in love with astrology. Now, I heard about sidereal for the first time, and I think we all kind of heard about sidereal, but we rejected it. I say I heard about sidereal when I was like in my early 20s or something, and people were talking about like, oh, they say that there's a 13th zodiac and you're probably not really your sun sign. And I'm like, no way, I'm a Pisces. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a Pisces, okay? Later on, I was interested, one of my old yoga teachers, she actually mentioned sidereal astrology. And at the time I was like, I'm gonna look this up. Like, what is this? It's spelled Sidereal. Sidereal astrology is based on the actual placement of the constellations in the sky today. So tropical astrology, how interesting. They omit the 13th zodiac, even though it's in the sky. They omit that because apparently 360 degrees wasn't evenly divided by, or it's more evenly divided by 12. So they omit the 13th zodiac. They base it off the 12 zodiacs, and based off what actually happens in the sky, they were like, okay, that's too much. Basically, okay, I'm paraphrasing. Something to the effect of they were just going to base everything off of the 4 seasons. There's 13 zodiacs, they only went off of 12. Everything goes off of these cycles that they do, but they were like, well, we're gonna base it off of the equinoxes. We're gonna base it off of the seasons to make this easier, okay? So that's cool. While I was living in the States, it was like whatever, it made sense. Oh, the real new year is spring, all of that, right? Then I moved out of the US, okay? I've been living in Bali now for almost 6 months. When I moved out of the States, I noticed that I wasn't resonating as much with everything being based off the 4 seasons. Now, I thought about it before living in the States, but not everywhere in the world has 4 seasons, especially when I went to Egypt. I was there and I'm like, they don't have 4 seasons here though. I started to feel a little bit of dissonance at that point, but I still continue with my studies. I feel like God was like, don't pay that too much attention, continue with your studies, okay? So now, fast tracking to living in Bali, I done got introduced to sidereal astrology again. Sidereal astrology is based on where the constellations actually are. So I can barely keep up with how to explain it. That's why I say you gotta do your own research. You gotta do your own research, okay? I am not claiming to be an expert. I'm sharing my story. To me, tropical Western is like training your ego. When it comes to true sidereal, it seems more like a spiritual awakening. It's like, how can I really align with Christ consciousness, single-mindedness? It's actually a depiction of the sky, how it is. Now, some people, they reference everything with the center being 0 degrees of Aries. But to me, that was not resonating. and I learned something about the galactic center, which is the very center of our galaxy, the very center, how everything is revolving around this center, which is apparently in the middle of the Milky Way. And there's a thing that's even called galactic mysticism that I really want to start to look up, that references this place as being like God's eye, the center of something. Like it's interesting that everything that we know in our universe revolves around this center. I wonder where it goes. But anyway, so I look at True Sidereal, like what are you here to learn from your spirit's perspective? I'm not coming on saying that, oh, I'm not studying tropical astrology anymore. I feel like it's accurate. All of the systems are accurate when you're using them for their intended purpose. As I've been studying, I'm like, God, what are you really saying through the heavens? Like, if this is a language of yours, like how God speaks through numbers, God speaks through symbols, God speaks through nature, God speaks through words, like God is always speaking. God speaks of, if you seek me, you will find me. When you have a heart to know God, when you have a heart to seek God, then God reveals itself to you. And so astrology has become one of those ways that I love to seek God, that I love to get to know myself, and I also feel like I'm learning about God in the process. I have been utilizing astrology as a tool to learn myself and to learn a language that God is speaking. Now, I used to love math and science as a child, and so I just think that it's really cool that God is so accurate. If God is speaking through the stars, I want to know what you're really saying, not basing everything off the precession of the equinoxes and 12 zodiacs and not 13. Apparently in sidereal, I'm in Aquarius. What? Okay, sun sign Aquarius. And that's another thing about astrology. Oh, look at these happy cards. The Sun and the Four of Wands. It's like joy and reunion and celebration and coming home. When people are like, oh, I am a Sagittarius, oh, I am a Pisces, I am this. Okay, I can see how that's a little bit of distorted thinking. But we're learning through those lenses. We're learning through those lenses. There's so much to learn when it comes to astrology. So I am officially studying True Sidereal Astrology with the Porphyry house system, which is like Placidus. It's an unequal house system based off of like what slices did you really have when you were born. I do think that there's still benefits to the whole sign house system. I'm just not a whole sign house system girl. Okay? I like, what's that song? And that's actual and that's factual. TLC. So that is why I am using True Sidereal, Porphyry house system, galactic center. I'm excited to talk about my findings. Have you even heard of sidereal astrology? Have you heard of true sidereal astrology? I can already feel how I just want to integrate both systems. So understanding what's happening right now with the planets, with everything shifting, but also wanting to look at it through the lens of true sidereal astrology as well. I hope you learned something new today. I hope I inspired you to go do some research for yourself. Sending you so much love. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to the next one.